Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you guys my Kagero deck profile for standard format for June 2018. Wanted to bring you guys the deck profile for the first deck of the Q4 lineup that I finished, and this was Kagero. It was the main deck I was working on all throughout the Unite Q4 booster pack, and finally got around to completing the deck. This is what I believe to be the most powerful version of the Kagero deck for that set. A lot of fun too. You mix Dragonic Waterfall with Overlord and all the other new Kagero support that we received in the booster pack along with the trial deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to begin, for the grade 3s, I run 4 Dragonic Waterfall. This and Dragonic Overlord are your main grade 3s you use in the deck. When placed on Vanguard, you choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or greater rear guards and retire it. And when it attacks, you Soul Blast one grade 3 until the end of that battle. This unit gets plus 10,000 in an additional critical, and your opponent cannot call Sentinels from the guard circle from hand. So basically with this unit, this is your finisher or your push for game unit, since it basically blocks perfect guards, and we don't have G Guardians in the standard format. So if you can get enough force markers on your Vanguard circle built up, and you swing with this and a very good booster unit, you can hope to push your opponent for game with this ride. Since you're going over another grade 3, your opponent should be at a pretty good amount of damage so far anyway. So this is, like I said, your kill card with that guard restriction for sure, and that additional critical hitting for 2 damage. You just want to go for the game with whatever you get off your drive check then. And I also run 4 Dragonic Overlord. Great backup for sure for Dragonic Waterfall. It even, could be a main all on its own if you don't have the Waterfall. It is a once per turn Soul Blast 1. This unit gets plus 10,000 till the end of the turn. That works on Vanguard or Rearguard, so remember that as well. And on Vanguard, once per turn, when its attack hits, you Counterblast 1 and discard 2 cards from your hand. You stand this unit and it gets Drive -1 until the end of the turn. So great pressure as well, especially since it doesn't have to hit the Vanguard. You can swing for a Rearguard, restand it, and then attack again with a Force Marker, and it's plus 10. You're hitting for 33,000 each turn. So very consistent power as long as you have the soul to back it up. And moving on to grade 2s, I run 4 Berserk Dragon. With this one, when placed, you Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. And if this unit is on your Vanguard, you draw a card. And when this unit attacks, if you have more rear guards than your opponent, this unit gets plus 3,000 until the end of that battle. So it's just good retire options for sure with this card. And you also have the draw option, so an awesome ride target for your Vanguard. So that's why I run 4 of it. It keeps up the consistency to make sure you get this as your ride. And then you just have that retire option on both Vanguard and Rearguard to make use of. And I also run 4 Dragon Knight in the Helm. Basically the same good retire effect for just a Counterblast 1. It only works on Rearguard though, but you choose one of your opponent's Rearguards in the back row, retire it, and this unit gets plus 5,000 to the end of the turn. It's also a 10k, just like Berserk Dragon, so with that plus 5 power you have additional means, and you have to kill something in the back row, remember that as well, but pretty easy since you get to choose where to place Nahum obviously, and you also have the option to do it early game as well if your opponent decides to call and try and swarm early game also. And lastly, for the grade 2s, I run 3 Belcosity Dragon. With all the retiring you can do with this deck, Belcosity definitely helps with the plus 5,000 power it gets when your opponent's rearguard is retired during your turn. Works on Vanguard and Rearguard as well, so make sure you make full use of that pressure when you ride this if you don't have Berserk. And if you call Nahum or Berserk to Rearguard as well for those retire effects, you can hit for big numbers with this unit for sure. And that is it for the grade 2s. Moving on to the grade 1s, I run 4 Flame of Hope Ammo. With this one, during the battle that it is boosted, it gets plus 3,000 from rear. And another rear guard effect is when your opponent's rear guard is retired during your turn, you retire this unit, draw a card, and you countercharge 1. So the draw power definitely does help to make up for this unit that you're losing. But the countercharge, this deck does counterblast a lot, whether it be with Overlord, Nahum, Berserk, you name it. Arrow just at 4 definitely helps with those numbers. And also, same goes for Embodiment of Armor Bar. I run 4 of this unit. Also, another retire effect, you kill a grade 2 or less rear guard in the same column as this unit, retire it, and if you have more rear guards than your opponent, this unit gets plus 5,000. So along with Nahum for that plus 5, you can hit big numbers, and if there's a force marker on that circle where either one of them are, just bigger in general, especially if the, push power from Waterfall or Dragonic Overlord doesn't finish off your opponent. These definitely do come in handy for finishing off those plays, like I said. And I also run 4 Lizard Soldier Rapia. This is it's very interesting since we run the new Perfect Guard, Wyvern Guard Bari, that the grade 1 lineup changes completely. Since you don't need the Perfect Guard, you go for more power plays with your grade 1s. When your opponent's rear guard is retired during your turn, this unit gets plus 5,000 to the end of the turn. So it's basically Belcosti Dragon in just grade 1 form. Another one, when you have this and Belcosti on rear guard and one unit dies, that's 28,000 on that circle, on those 2 circles alone, boosting. And then if you have a force marker, that's 38,000, and you just get higher depending on if you get triggers or not as well. And lastly, for the grade 1s, I run 2 Dragonic Gaius. Now, when it boosts a grade 3 or greater unit, you can counterblast 1 and put this unit into your soul, and the boosted unit gets an extra critical until the end of that battle. The boost power ceases also if you put it into your soul. So this with Waterfall can definitely be your game winner right there with that garbage restriction. Your opponent's going to have to put down all their triggers or, their heal triggers, their criticals, just to try and block this attack. And if they expect Waterfall, that's what they're going to be building up for. So you want to make sure you hit some pretty big numbers altogether. And Gaius just helps with that additional critical for that pressure. Because if it's 2 damage and they're at 2 damage already, it's not as threatening. But having 3 damage and then that risk of a critical definitely does make them put down more for the guard. And then for grade 0s, your starter, Lizard Runner, Undo, pretty standard, since it's all the starters that they have to run for standard. And for the triggers, I run 4 Demonic Dragon Mage Rakasha for the criticals, and then also 4 Embodiment of the Spear Tar for 8 crits, and then for the draw trigger, 4 Wyvern Guard Bari. This is the new Perfect Guard for the deck, which I think is really awesome. Doesn't take up a grade 1 spot, just fills the draw trigger spot. So basically all the same for the Perfect Guard costs and whatnot, just in the form of a draw trigger, like I said. And lastly, for the heals, 4 Dragon Monk Genjo. This is the only heal we got, obviously, so that's what we run. But 8 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal, I feel is the best lineup for the deck to go for sure. No 6 draw, 6 crit. You just want that crit pressure for sure to make sure it goes off. And then just the gift markers, obviously, force markers to make use of. I usually just like to keep as many as, grade 3s in the deck to use as a whole. But yeah, that is it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. Probably giving you guys some different versions as well, maybe like a budget version. And definitely look forward to those premium formats that I'll be mixing in the cards into other Kagero decks as well. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Once again, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And until next time, Kira Qualia out.